The great halls of Lurith shone with silver fire as queen. Alira walked through her palace with the steady grace of someone who had known rule since childhood. Her world was old, proud, forged from millennia of conflict and conquest. Her people valued strength above all, a strength shaped through training, discipline, and inherited power. For generations, the royalty of Lurith carried within them a gift called the Radiant Pulse, a force that allowed them to shield cities or devastate armies. To marry into the line required worthiness, and worthiness was measured by power, which was exactly why her marriage had become the most controversial event in the Empire. Her husband was a human named Rowan, a quiet man, a soft-voiced man, a man who had grown up on a backwater planet that most Lorathian nobles could not locate on a star chart. He had no radiant pulse. He had no enhanced biology. He had no political standing. But he had saved her life in a moment that no Lorathian had predicted. During a diplomatic visit to his homeworld, a rogue fleet had attacked the station she was touring. Amid the chaos, Rowan had acted with a swiftness that defied expectation. Not through overwhelming force, not through training, but through a resilience that bordered on stubborn defiance. He had dragged her through collapsing halls, shielded her from falling debris, and held a damaged bulkhead long enough for escape craft to dock. He survived injuries that would have ended others. And when questioned about his actions, he only said that leaving someone behind was not an option. The Empire found that amusing at first, then confusing, then irritating. The Queen did not marry him for political strategy. She married him because she had seen something unshakable in him, something ancient, something that made her wonder if humanity possessed a strength her people had overlooked. But doubt had grown since the ceremony. Nobles whispered that she had made a mistake. Generals said she had tethered herself to weakness. Even her council questioned the future of the imperial line. Through it all, Rowan remained calm. He did not lash out. He did not protest. He simply stayed at her side and learned everything he could about her world. Now, months later, tensions were rising again. A rival species called the Draxer host had breached the outer borders. The Queen prepared for war, yet the murmurs in her palace were not about the enemy. They were about her husband. Some believed he would be a liability. Some believed he should not stand beside her in the war chambers. And some believed he would die the moment he stepped onto a battlefield. Rowan heard all of it. Alira saw the doubts settle on the faces of her commanders during the latest council meeting. Their armored forms lined the chamber, while the map projection flickered with enemy fleet positions. Rowan stood near the edge, listening quietly. General Vorn finally spoke. "Your Majesty, tradition dictates that the consort should remain in the inner sanctum during wartime. The human should not be placed where force is required." Rowan's expression did not change. Alira's did. "He has the right to stand here," she said. "He lacks the ability," Vorn answered. "With respect, a being with no pulse cannot contribute to strategy or combat readiness." "He sees things others overlook," she replied. "He is fragile," another commander said. "He is inexperienced," a third added. Rowan raised his hand slightly. "If I may," he said. The entire room fell silent. His voice was calm, almost humble, but it carried a steadiness that commanded focus. "I know what you think of me," he said. "I am not offended by it. Where I come from, strength is measured differently. But I am not here to replace your warriors. I am here to support my wife." Vorn crossed his arms. "Support requires power. Power comes in many forms," Rowan said. The general scoffed. "We speak of war, human, not philosophy." Rowan nodded once. "Then allow me to show you something." He walked toward the center of the chamber. The commanders exchanged skeptical glances, but none stopped him. Rowan reached the circular display table that projected the map of the border conflict. "Your maps are impressive," Rowan said. "Your strategy is sound. But your formations here, and here are predictable. The Draxer can read them. They will flank you within 2 cycles." "Impossible," the commanders whispered. The predictive algorithms did not support his claim. Their strategists had run endless simulations. Yet Rowan pointed to the weaknesses as if they were simple truths. "How do you see that?" Alira asked. "Because humans train differently," he said. "We study asymmetry. We plan for the improbable. We adapt faster than most species expect. You rely on your power. The Draxer know this." General Vorn frowned. "You claim to understand warfare more than those who have fought for centuries." "No," Rowan said. "I claim to see what you have not needed to see." The Queen felt a subtle shift in the room. Not full respect, but curiosity. That was the first time they had given him that. Still, doubt lingered. It lingered until the enemy arrived. The Draxer host did not attack the border. They bypassed it entirely and descended toward the capital in a strike that caught even the Queen off guard. Their flagship appeared in the upper atmosphere, its shadow swallowing the sun. Alarms shrieked across the palace. The ground rumbled. Offensive shields rose, but the first blast tore through the outer towers. War had come faster than anyone predicted. Alira rushed to the command balcony. Rowan stayed at her side. When the second blast rocked the palace, she ordered her guards to escort him to safety. Rowan refused. "I stay with you," he said. "Rowan, this is not negotiation," she replied. He looked into her eyes. "I stay." There was no fear on his face, only resolve. Something inside her shifted at that, but she could not place the feeling. The Draxer assault landed on the palace grounds in waves. Their warriors strode through fire with towering exosuits and armored hides. Lorathian soldiers countered with radiant blasts from the walls. The Queen joined the defense, her hands alight with golden energy as she swept entire battalions aside. Rowan watched, knowing he could not match such power. But he also saw patterns the others did not see. "Alira," he said, "they're driving your forces toward the east gate. They're funneling you." She paused. "How do you know that?" "Their formation tightens every time your soldiers push forward. They're shaping the field. They intend to isolate your pulse wielders." She focused, sensing he was right. "How would you counter?" she asked. "Break the funnel. Disrupt their coordination. Their command unit is there." He pointed toward a ridge where smoke curled around a heavy artillery walker. "If you destroy that, the rest will lose synchronization." The Queen summoned her council. They hesitated to take orders from Rowan, but Alira's certainty left no room for doubt. Yet before they could act, a new wave of Draxer soldiers burst through the palace gates. They were larger than the others, carrying shock mauls that crackled with energy. One of them charged straight toward Alira. She raised a shield, but the warrior launched a second strike at Rowan. He did not dodge. He stepped into the attack. The shock maul struck his chest. The force sent him backward, yet he did not fall. Instead, he planted his feet and grabbed the weapon with both hands. The alien snarled and increased the energy output. The maul crackled. The ground trembled. But Rowan held it in place. Alira stared. Every Lorathian around them froze. Rowan's muscles tightened. His breath steadied. His grip crushed into the weapon's casing. With a short twist he wrenched it from the alien's hands and swung it upward, striking the warrior across the jaw. The creature collapsed. "What are you?" whispered one of the Lorathian guards. Rowan exhaled slowly. "Human," he said. Another warrior lunged at him. Rowan moved with surprising speed, slipping under its strike, and driving an elbow into the alien's throat. A third tried to flank him, but Rowan launched forward and slammed him into a pillar. He fought without elegance, without training, but with raw, unyielding determination. Alira watched with a rising shock she could not suppress. She had seen humans fight before. None like this. The commanders had called him fragile. Rowan proved them wrong with every movement. His strength was not supernatural. It was earned. Hardened through survival on a planet where humans pushed their limits for sport, for duty, and for one another. The Queen stepped beside him. "You held back," she said. "I never wanted to be a threat," he answered. "Only a partner." She looked into his eyes and saw no arrogance, only honesty. Another explosion shook the palace. The artillery walker on the ridge charged its main cannon. Rowan picked up the fallen shock mole. "Can your pulse reach that distance?" he asked. "Not with precision," she said. "Good," he replied. "Then I will create the opening." Before she could stop him, he sprinted across the courtyard. Draxer warriors moved to intercept. Rowan dodged between them with pure instinct. One grabbed his shoulder, but he spun and smashed the maul into its chest. Another fired a blast that grazed his arm, but he kept moving. He ran up the collapsed pillar, using its slope to launch himself onto a landing platform. From there, he leapt onto a damaged skimmer. The vehicle drifted. Rowan grabbed its edge and used the momentum to propel himself toward the ridge. He landed in a roll, pain flashing through him, but he did not slow. The artillery walker shifted its cannon toward the Queen's forces. Rowan charged. The machine's sensors detected him. A side gun swiveled and fired. The blast struck the ground beside him, sending him tumbling through dust and debris. Yet he rose again. Blood dripped